Another big story today is the final farewell to former President Jimmy Carter. Moments ago, the funeral service concluded for President Carter at the Washington National Cathedral. Several former presidents attended that funeral, including current President Joe Biden, who delivered a eulogy. President Biden says Carter's enduring attribute was character.
During his 100 years, to young people, to anyone in search of meaning and purpose, study the power of Jimmy Carter's example. I miss him, but I take solace in knowing that he and his beloved Rosalind are reunited again.
Former President Carter will now return to his hometown of Plains, Georgia, where a private funeral will be held. Local 3's Greg Glover is live in Plains, Georgia, outside of where that ceremony will be held for former President Carter. Greg, tell us about what's going on there now in Plains.
Latrice, wanted to tell you about Plains itself. This is a town of fewer than 1,000 people, and if you were driving around south of Atlanta in country roads of Georgia and found yourself here, there'd be no mistaking that you were in Plains. This is basically town square, and you can see proudly the sign, red, white, and blue, Plains, Georgia, home of Jimmy Carter, our 39th president. Over to my left, behind me across railroad tracks, there's kind of a memorial to freedom, bronze plaques with depictions of the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights. As we walk along this way, I can show you some of the other things. Plains High School is just down the road. Banners are all over. Thank you, Mr. President, and God bless you, Jimmy Carter. Farther down that street is Maranatha Baptist Church, where the ceremony will be taking place today. The procession will come down the street. You can see it's already made up for the onlookers, the well-wishers here, the people saying thank you, Mr. President, as he heads to his final resting place. But this is a historic street, too, because this Phillips 66 gas station, it says Billy Carter's gas station. If you were alive during the Carter administration, you remember Jimmy Carter's brother, Billy. Down about 3/4 of a mile is the Carter residence, and farther than that is the Carter farm where he grew up. So this whole town has the Carter family name all over it. They are proud of their native son, and they will be here to say farewell to him one last time. Just before sundown is when interment will occur. We're live in Plains, Georgia. Greg Glover, Local 3 News.
A special place to be today. Before we go, I want to ask you a quick question. I see people starting to gather as you're giving us a tour and the history of Plains, Georgia. I see people starting to gather and walk out. Are they now getting there waiting for the procession so they can show their respects to President Carter?
They are, Latrice. It's an amazing day, mid-40s, bright sunshine, cloudless skies, and people are coming from all around, not only here in Plains, but just down the road, Americus. That town has, I think, 10 to 12,000 people, much larger than small Plains here, and just under 1,000. But the thing that strikes me the most, I think, are the students here, some 90 years younger than James Earl Carter, but fellow farmers. They have the FFA jackets on. Future Farmers of America. There's a connection there, even though he was president long before they ever even thought of. There is a connection of a hometown, Sumter County, and also being a farmer. So the people are starting to arrive as things will get going here today, and we'll bring all the action to you. Patrice?
Thank you, Greg. Just a beautiful scene there in Plains, Georgia. Just the life and legacy of the former president and what he stood for.